Hi loves, welcome back to another video, and this is part 2 of sourdough. So after we have combined our levain and I believe our shaggy dough, yes, so now we add in 18 grams of salt, pink Himalayan sea salt, or you can use a fine sea salt, and we're gonna just use almost the reserving water, but not exactly all of it. And then basically you kind of just want to get your hands in it, and just start mixing it together so it kind of just comes and forms a dough. And then we're also gonna do something on our counter. It's gonna be a 2 sets of slap and folds, and it's literally just slapping it on the counter and kind of folding the dough at the same time. So I'm about to show you how it's done. So, but the first thing you need to do is kind of incorporate the salt and some of that water. So make sure you really incorporate that well. But yeah, as you can see, loves, this is a very hydrated dough, which I still did not get how much the hydration level is in this bread. I feel like it's close to 100% at this point. So I think this takes about a few minutes. And I'm actually just keeping the video at regular speed as well, so yeah. Okay, I'm about to do my first set of a slap and fold. So it's not perfect because it is kind of awkward at first, but I'm literally just kind of taking it on the counter and just spreading it out, kind of picking it up and kind of let it fall over. And I need to kind of let it, it's probably best if you do it the opposite way. Like I said, the technique was a little weird at first, but the second time I did this, it was a lot better, but you kind of just want it where your dough is a little more uniform. That's what we're trying to do, establish here. So this takes about, I would say 2 to 4 minutes of slap and folds until it's like kind of together. And then once you do your first set, you want to let it rest for about, I believe it was like 20 to 30 minutes. So like I said, look up the recipe. It kind of explains how long to rest it for. I mean, I wrote down some steps, but I don't have it in front of me right now. But yeah, you want to, you just want to get that until it's kind of getting together. So, and as you can see, it's very, very sticky still. Now we're just going to cover it back up, let it rest for a little bit, and then we're going to do another set. Or maybe I already did the other set, because actually, oh yeah, this is now we're gonna do something called a series of stretch and folds. Okay, so first you want to get a little bit of water on your hands, and yeah, you're gonna spread the dough kind of up, kind of lift up the dough. Lift it up and kind of stretch it over. Yeah, and it's literally a stretch and fold. So you want to make sure you're, like I said, make sure your hands are wet and as you do this, because it will stick a little bit. But I gotta say, this was the most therapeutic, or it was just very relaxing doing this bread. It just was, even though it was kind of a lot of work at the same time, as far as like it took so many hours just to kind of achieve this bread. Like I said, I think this bread takes about at least 24 hours, because you really bake it the next morning, the next day. So the first day is like your bulk fermentation of just letting it rise, letting it rest, shaping it and whatnot. And then the second day is normally like a bake day. So, wait, this bread takes almost 2 days, not really 24 hours. So this is where you actually want to do a total of 6 stretch and folds, and we're resting it for the first 15 minutes. So you're gonna do 3 sets of stretch and folds for 15 minutes in between. So let it rest 15 minutes and then do another stretch and fold. So I want to say this was my last stretch and fold, actually. And then you're gonna do another 3 sets of stretch and folds, but you're gonna rest 30 minutes in between. So it's probably a total of over 2 hours of just stretch and folds. A total of over 2 hours, because 15. So that's 45 minutes. 30. Yeah, it's over 2 hours, so, of stretch and folds. But I just like the way this dough is kind of really just coming together. It's forming the bubbles on the top, which was a good sign. So after my last stretch and fold, I decided to get out my mat, and as you can see in the back, I do have some chopped olives and some garlic in a measuring cup. And I should have actually kind of floured my mat before I started. I would say get some bread flour in this step and put it on the surface you're working on. Or you probably can use like oil. I heard oil would probably work too. So anyway, you're gonna get a little flour and put it on the side that you're gonna divide your dough in half, because I'm making 2 loaves of sourdough bread. I feel like if I'm doing all this work for some bread, I need at least 2 loaves. Like I said, maybe 3 loaves. Or you can do 4 loaves, really, because you have so much starter to begin with, so depending on, I guess, how much you started with. Anyway, so I divided the dough in half, and on the other half of our dough, I did do the seasoned one. I did a mixture of olives, garlic, and rosemary. Now, I preferred to have the fresh rosemary, but I didn't get it in time, so I just substituted the dry rosemary. But Yeah, so you kind of want to get your bench scraper involved too. Just, and then I'm gonna flip it over, and then I'm gonna go ahead and spread my toppings on there. So, and I do kind of want to mention when I did do this, when you probably do a seasoned sourdough bread, I suggest adding your seasoning probably at the stretch and fold, because your seasoning will kind of incorporate into the dough better. But I did not want to season all my sourdough bread. I kind of just wanted the classic plain, and then I was like, well, then I'll season one. But however you want to do your sourdough bread, you can do different various toppings. You can do like jalapeno and cheddar, maybe jalapeno and bacon. I mean, you can make it a sweet sourdough bread if you wanted to. I mean, if you really think about it, sourdough bread doesn't have to be always savory. But then it might be different with the salt in the beginning of the bread. But anyway, we're gonna incorporate our seasonings in, and like I said, it was kind of hard to do this at first because I did not really want to exactly overwork the dough at the same time. So I didn't want to develop too much gluten. And then we're going to kind of get the help of our bench scraper and just kind of, at this point, I'm trying to shape it into a bill, and I hope I'm not butchering the word. It's spelled B-O. Yeah, but basically it just means that I'm shaping it into like a round, those classic sourdough rounds you see. That's what we're kind of going for here. And you kind of want to do a technique where you're kind of tucking your kind of tucking in the bread, almost kind of pulling your fingers towards the bread, and then as you're shaping it, you're kind of pulling the dough towards you as well. That's the best way I can explain it. And I'm probably not exactly doing this right. I mean, probably the more I do sourdough to bread, then the better I get. But like I said, we're just kind of experimenting here, going by feeling a little bit. But I feel like I was kind of doing it right. I kind of demonstrated better on the second loaf. And it was really just hard incorporating those ingredients in. I think the stretch and fold is probably the best technique to get your fillings incorporated. But yeah, I have learned. Like I said, the dough is going to be very, very sticky, so get a little more flour. And then we're going to kind of set that aside while I get ready for the next one. So okay, so make sure you flour your dough, flour your bench scraper, your hands, And we're gonna go ahead and just shape our next sourdough round. Doing that technique where I kind of get underneath the dough, and then, like I said, kind of use my fingers and tucking it in at the same time. Because all we're doing is like shaping at this point. Yeah, I'm really loving the air bubbles on top of that one. And I feel like I did such a better job with that one, so. And then we're gonna flour them on the top a little bit, and we're just gonna cover them with a towel and let them rest for 10 minutes. Yes, I know, a lot of resting, but this was the final rest, so. So like I said, it's a lot of patience when you're doing sourdough bread. If you have the patience, like I said, this was very therapeutic, and I just learned a lot. I learned a lot of stuff. So now we're gonna kind of do this shaping, where you kind of shape it into it's a pan. It's the name of a pan. I'm gonna have to look it up and put it on the screen or something when I'm finished editing this video. Because it's like a certain pan made for sourdough. But you normally want to like flour your tea towels and then you add your sourdough loaf. And yes, I'm putting on gloves because I have that bandage on my left hand. So we're gonna do this shape where you kind of flip it over. Try not to deflate it too much. So we're gonna fold it up, stretch it up, do the sides, do the other side, and then we're gonna come back down with the other side. Now I did forgot to do some pinching right here instead of me just like flipping it over. I kind of just rolled it over, and that seemed to kind of work as well, because that's kind of sort of the shape I'm looking for. But I'm gonna do it better on this loaf. Okay, so we're going to fold it up to the sides. And then fold it up again. And then we're going to do some pinching right here. Kind of fold it up again. Kind of just pinch it all together. And then we're going to kind of roll it towards yourself. And that's kind of the shape we're going for. And like I said, I'm going to put the name of the pan maybe in the comments or, like I said, in this video. But yeah, that's it for now, loves. This is part 2, and